so much. So I'll be making the presentation on behalf of my team. Maybe just to give an introduction, a brief introduction about myself. Okay, I started my career, I studied actuarial science at KISS University. At the same time, I did CIFA, that is Certified Investment and Financial Analyst exams. Of course, we have CASNEB here. And at the same time, I did some actuarial papers 3, but I stopped. I know the reason why. So I started my career at Zamara Actuaries in 2018 as actuarial analyst in TAN. That is, it was general insurance. I was doing mostly reserving and that is reserving, data checks and so on. Then after that, I joined Blue Wave in micro insurance company, mostly dealing with the emerging market as a lead actuarial analyst and also data scientist Africa, because we were looking at the African market. And it was very interesting that when we are talking about actuaries in emerging markets, that is where I saw that actuaries need to think beyond the traditional market. Because I remember when we were doing some kind of pricing, you know, the microinsurance market is a bit different. And I think that I know Oscar is doing internship in such like an organization. But let me just come to my presentation. And before I start the presentation, I want to thank my colleague, Kering. Is that your name? Thank you. He has mentioned everything I wanted to say. And everything that he has said is true, based on my past experience concerning Excel, this data science field, and so on. Okay, basically, I'm one of the co-founders of AFRICDSA, and currently I'm a lead data scientist consultant in Finberg Capital Limited, which is a subsidiary of Magnet Ventures. I hope most of us know Magnet Ventures. So, okay, my presentation will be towards a skills-based economy. Maybe it will be a brief one. So to start off, I want to say that we are living at a time of unprecedented change and opportunity. So I have just highlighted about 7 disruptors here, or what is happening. I know the statistics might be a bit outdated, but you see the statistics, the way it is being released, sometimes it takes time to be updated. One is that technology is everywhere, and based on these statistics, as at 2020, we had 6 billion, more than 6 billion smartphones in the world. Then also we are talking about the tsunami of data. My colleague has talked about the big data issue. In the last 2 years, that is when this statistics was released, we had more and more data that was being generated. And I can even attest myself as a lead data scientist in a mobile lending application. Of course, I can't tell you how I use your data every day, but there's a lot of data. Even if I just see how you are saving people in your phone, I can make a decision if I'm going to give you a loan or not. Or I can know the kind of person like you are. So you see the data is everywhere. Another thing is that we have disruptor is the diversity and generational change. We are talking about the millennials. We are talking about the global pop in Africa and so on, and the longevity dividends and so on. Then another thing that I want to talk about is the AI, cognitive computing, and robotics. You can just check the statistics on how things are changing. In 2008, they were estimating at about $500,000. Currently, it is about 22. Meaning that these things are becoming available, and therefore even the cost is reducing, and we need to take advantage. Okay, another thing, we are talking about jobs vulnerable to automation. I have a slide that it has the African perspective. But for instance, in UK, we had 35%, in US 47%, and in China 77% jobs are vulnerable to automation. Then also we have what you call the explosion in contingent work, and so on. So I don't want to dwell so much into this slide. I'll be sharing, but we have some very critical things that I want to present, especially in Africa. When we are talking about the youth skills and employment in Africa, we see that 10 out of 12 million youth enter the job market each year, and mostly without the required skills. And this skill that we have been talking about, maybe you might be wondering, the basic skill is Excel is applied in any department. Whether you are in a call center, whether you are there, you must at least have basic skills in Excel, very important. So you see that when these statistics were released, these were the 2021 rather statistics, we had 140 million unemployed and discouraged youth in Africa. And we are talking, they were classifying those between the ages of 15 to 35. And we had about 3.1 million jobs that were created within the same period. Then, at the same time, we had 140 million young people. The projections were saying they will lack economic stake in the system by 2025. And when I look at that statistics, again, I want to pick something that my colleagues say that nowadays, if you don't have skills, you lose your job anytime. And I also met sometimes, almost 2 weeks ago, my colleague, he did, I think, criminology. Then he was asking me if he can be trained on this data science and so on. So I asked him, why do you want to be trained? What informed me that, in the job, people think because you are young, is working in a government organization. Because people think that you are young, they tend to know that you know everything. And he was insisting that I need to be trained because he was telling me, if I don't get these skills and someone else can do, then it means I'm going to lose my job and so on. So that is how serious the skills issue it is. And maybe before I move on, I just want to, I got some privileges to be, because I was heading the actuarial department, to be appearing in most of the interviews when we were hiring that time when I was at Blue Wave. So one interesting thing nowadays when, especially the private sector, people are hiring as compared to the government, for us, we start asking you about the skills. If you meet the skills, we have given you a test, you have qualified, then we give you a contract. After you sign a contract, now we tell you to bring you a certificate. We don't start with certificates like in government, whereby you are told where is your degree certificate on. So, meaning that people are focusing more on skills. But now, apart from the skills now, where now the documentation comes in, the professionalism. You see these organizations, the professional bodies like IFOA, CASNEP, they are working under the international standards that have been set so that people can be in a position to follow and abide by in order to maintain such kind of professionalism in work and so on. So it's very important that even if you are doing data science, actuarial, the CASNEP, all that knowledge is very important. And personally, the CIFA that I did, it has now assisted me in the current job that I'm doing, because I'm doing the data science job, but you see there are some aspect of finance that I give a lot of input based on my CASNEP knowledge. So all these papers are very important. Don't ignore any. So maybe let me just complete on this. Just backwards. Okay. So you see that the side on those people who are not actively contributing to the economy, they are about 31% unemployed and discouraged youth. And you see that 52% of work activities in Kenya are susceptible to automation. You see Kenya is at 52, we have Angola at 53, Nigeria, and so on. So that is the reality, and that is what is happening currently globally. So I'm not going to also to dwell so much here, but I just want to maybe on a high level just to give brief information about this spectrum of robotic and cognitive technologies. You see, when we are talking about automation, it ranges mostly in enabling these strategies that improve business processes to those, we have those sophisticated now technologies with some kind of cognitive elements, if I can say. So based on these slides, for which I'll be sharing with you to go through it later, we have those processes that are low, medium term, high, and futuristic. For instance, when we are talking about robotic process automation, we are talking about those kind of technologies that are trying to mimic the human behavior. So you can see that a robot can mimic rules based on actions that we have in existing applications and so on. Another one, those in the medium term, we are talking about intelligence automation. This one now mimics human judgment, and it involves those tools that require processes that need some kind of decision making. Then we have the cognitive automation that augments the human intelligence. We are talking about the computerized models that simulate human thought processes through predictive decision making and so on. Then the last one, the futuristic, we are talking about the artificial intelligence. This one mostly mimics the human kind of intelligence. And it looks at the theory and some kind of development of computer systems that they can perform the task that requires such kind of human ability and so on. Yes. So we have some kind of the digital processes that impact professionals currently. When we are talking about the data warehousing, business intelligence, enterprise application, resource planning systems, data modeling. Then also we have what called the cloud computing and so on, visualization. Then IoT, I think IoT is something that is very common and most of us know. The blockchain technology, machine learning and predictive analytics and so on. So these are some of the digital forces that are impacting the way people are doing jobs currently. So I have a visualization here. This is what a factory looks like today. And I hope we have seen this with most automotive factories that are manufacturing motor vehicles, the Mercedes and so on. So this is what a typical factory looks like today. And in the past, you found out that it was people who are doing this work. So today, this is how our offices are still looking. I know the corona pandemic came and disrupted and the offices became a bit open. But typically that is how the office looks like today. So in the future, this is how we will be working, and we have already started. So this is how people will be working in an office. We will just be having someone who will be going to check, maybe to generate reports and so on because of automation and so on. So many people, if you are not going to reskill yourself or to continue learning, you might find yourself at home. So this is how the future looks like, and of course we are already there in some countries. We are talking about the virtual realities. We are talking about the robotics, self-driving cars, and so on. Already people are here. I know in Africa we might not be here, but it is coming. So this is a case study of an actual organization in the next few years, and I want to emphasize more here. That's why I was a bit rushing. So imagine a world here whereby at 5 a.m. we have an automated robot that completes scanning of actual model and reserves, and that means deferred acquisition costs, some kind of accounting concept in insurance. So you see that the output is sent to its analytics engine at 7 a.m. Sorry, 5 a.m. Then at 7 a.m., we have automation software that adds in narrative to the dashboard. Like you don't need again like a human being to explain, to give the narrative. We have a software that already does that. Then at 8:10 a.m., you find that the chief actuary interacts with the chatbot to drill down into splits by channel of the product now to see like what the chatbot or what the model has done. Oh, sorry, I think I have jumped so fast. I'm sorry for that. We are starting here, 5 a.m., I'm sorry. An automated robot completes scanning of actual models. Then at 6 a.m., the data from the modeling engine is staged on a Tableau or Power BI server, and dashboards are refreshed. Then from 6 a.m., we are now moving to 7 a.m., whereby the automation software adds in narratives to the dashboard. Then at 8 a.m., the chief actuary now has access to the updated reports and narrative, so he or she arrives in the office. You know, with this actual work, what normal happens is that we have the actual analyst, then we have the chief actuary who will now see the results and maybe approve if it is right or wrong. Then at 8:10, you see the chief actuary interacts with the chatbot to drill down into the splits, like to try to find out maybe more about the process that followed. Then at 8:15 a.m., the chief actuary further drills down into the variance analysis for the products and so on. So this is what is going to happen. It might not have happened in Kenya, but this is how serious it is. So we have what you call the augmented workforce and the transformation that is happening currently. So here we have the transformation that is happening, how people are connected using technology. Then nowadays we have the greater kind of open talent. Like nowadays what is happening, I just want to pick one simple to make my presentation more easy to understand. Nowadays, most people like working as like freelancers and so on. For instance, the beauty about this, if you have these skills, you don't have to be stick to the one employee. Like myself currently, I'm doing most AFRICDSA, we are doing consultancy. Like I'm doing currently with Finbear Capital. We have other team doing with Majorel International Farm and so on. So you see, you don't have, when I'm done with them, build whatever they want, I move to the next. You see, I'm not confined to one specific kind of employee that I must be there daily and so on. So this is where the future is going. So our point of view, pointing on individuals, organizations, and maybe the public policy. One, all these changes that we are talking about, the implications for individuals. Now, I'm talking to all of us here. One, you must engage yourself in lifelong learning. Yes, I'm a data scientist, but you know, every day I meet a new challenge or a new business problem comes, and I need maybe to go back to YouTube and so on. So I do engage myself in lifelong learning. Secondly, is shape your own career path. As a student, you have a lot of time here. And when I was a student, I was very strategic. That's why I even entered the job market when I was not. I just completed for there, then I started my internship at Zamara, and that's how I went. So I was very strategic. I knew what I wanted. And we had a very powerful actuarial student, which society, which is still very powerful. And they used to organize these trainings, Excel, and so on. So I realized that as much as I'm in academia, I need to work on my skills. So I worked very properly on my skills, analytical skills. I did all these papers, CASNEB and so on, CT papers, those that I managed to do. And you see, I realized that they assisted me to move so fast into the market. So as a student here, be strategic. Start tarmacking. Now I started tarmacking. That's now what you call tarmacking. I started tarmacking when I was still a university student. And when I was graduating, I had finished my tarmacking phase. So, not yet. Another one for implications for individual, I normally say pursue your passion. Like as much as you are actuarial student, if you can do for us some comedy, and that is what will makes you happy, go and do comedy. If you can be a politician and you are an actuarial student or graduate or an actuary, just go. We know all of Wangamati, who is an actuary, is a politician. Kinasakaja Bobowino, who did actuarial, we all know they are politicians. We have this lady. There is a lady who is a musician. She did actuarial. So do what you love doing as long as you are able to gain from it. Then for implications for organizations, organizations need to redesign their work for technology and learning. And also they need to source and integrate talent across all networks. Then also organizations need to implement the new models and so on. Then on the public policy, now we are talking maybe about education, and I just want to mention one thing, like currently, CASNEB updated their curriculum to realign, even I think I4 also updated their curriculum to realign with the current trends. So what they are doing, these organizations are trying to reimagine lifelong education to make sure that whatever material is being given is updated. Also, they need to transition support for income and healthcare and so on. So I'm not going to talk about this one. My colleague already has talked about data science. Just move to the next. Just move. Yeah. So initiative plans, first of all, you need to invest your time, money, and effort to train your mind. Intern and explore. I normally say do that work to gain experience. It doesn't matter if you are paid or not. Then another thing is focus. Identify an industry and create space for yourself. Like, yes, I have worked as an actuarial analyst, data scientist, but now where I am, I have already found myself where I struggled also, like, should I go for actuarial, should I go, but throughout all that time, I have done actuarial work, data science work. I found myself that truly I belong to more of data science than actuarial. Then also impact. When now you are an expert, of course, learning is gradual. Don't be in a hurry to learn these things. Start slow from the basic as you move forward, because every day is a learning day. So, the key takeaways from my presentation, one, is that the demand for skills is increasing as the business landscape transforms. The second key takeaway that I want you to go with it is that how professionals are doing their work is fundamentally changing and will continue to change. Another thing is that change is happening at an increasing rate, and this has been attributed by exponential technologies. Then also, there are opportunities for efficiency and increased added value. Therefore, there's need to embrace, promote, and manage some kind of change. So thank you so much. I know I've presented in a hurry, but In case of any question, you will reach out to us. Thank you so much for following it keenly.